and welcome back to Dive with Lily. I am Lily, and today we are going to take a deep dive into transferring colleges. This video will be based on personal experience because I transferred universities. So I started college at a public school in the New York State school system, so a SUNY. I went to SUNY Binghamton, and I transferred to a private liberal arts school called Emory University here in Atlanta, Georgia. So this will be based on my personal experience and what I think are some good tips, and is that I will talk a little bit about my background, and then I will talk about everything that you need to prepare, from transcripts, extracurricular, application, recommendation, and also lastly, I will talk about my college essay. And if anyone is interested, I can totally make a video on how I found the transfer experience, like after arriving at my new school, and how I adjusted and all of that. But today's video will focus on your application and getting in from a different school. So here is my background. So I graduated high school in 2019, and in fall of 2019, around August, is when I started as a freshman at SUNY Binghamton. I started with an intended major of environmental science, and I applied to 5 colleges to transfer. I applied to Emory University, Hamilton College, Wesleyan, Pomona, and Barnard/Columbia. So 5 schools. I got into 2 schools, Emory University and Hamilton College, and then I got rejected from the other 3. And I also talk a little bit about like what I think the reasons were. But yeah, I got into Emory with pretty much a full ride. I ended up transferring just because it is a much better, highly ranked school. That's number 1 reason. And second reason is that I actually had to pay really a lot less to attend Emory than I was if I were to continue going to Binghamton. So it was kind of like a no-brainer decision for me. I did go into Emory with environmental science as my major, but ended up switching my major to quantitative science about halfway through sophomore year. And also I transferred during COVID, so definitely a little bit of an interesting experience, but yeah, I won't really touch that in today's video. So that's my background. So now I will touch on everything you need to prepare for transferring. So it hinges on 5 different things, which I will talk about: the transcript, extracurricular, application, recommendation, and then lastly your essay. So as for transcript, it is definitely really important what you do your freshman year of college. So I know some people transferred after sophomore year, but personally, I think that if you're looking to transfer, it is better to do it earlier than later. And I will say transferring during mid-semester is not a good idea. For example, like if you attended somewhere in the fall and you want to go transfer in the spring, you should wait until the next year, the next school year. Because typically that is like how the regular cycle works, and typically they accept a lot more students that transfer like for the school academic year instead of just for the semester. So yeah, anyway, so freshman year of college, I had a really great GPA. So I think around the time I transferred, I had like a 3.9, and I maintained that through the end of freshman year. So I will say definitely number 1, your high school grades do not count as much. So if your high school grades are not as ideal, like for example, if you didn't really get into where you want to go because you didn't have super high grades in high school, that is okay, because your freshman year college grades are a lot more important. So I would definitely 100% focus on getting that up like a notch if you're looking to transfer into like a more elite institution. So I also took some challenging courses my freshman year. So definitely for the transcript, they will look at what courses you're taking and like what your grades were for each course. I think first semester I had all A's except for 1 A-. And then second semester, I think I had once again 1 A's, all A's, and also like maybe like an A- or something like that. And then I also took a couple, you don't have to take like every hard course, but like it definitely makes you stand out if you take 1 or 2 challenging courses. So I took linear algebra my freshman year, which, you know, like is typically like a sophomore year or up class. And then I just took like the other normal classes that were in my major, like for example, like chemistry, and whatnot. And also I could also make a video about talking about transferring credits and how that works, like how your credits from one school might transfer into a different school, if that's interesting, but that's not, I won't talk about this video. So that's pretty much all for transcript. Just basically like have a good grade. I would say probably like 3.7 and up is ideal, if you are looking to transfer into like a top university. But yeah, definitely just have good grades. So definitely number one. And then number two, for extracurriculars. So obviously these schools look for a well-rounded student. So you can't just have good grades. Like you also need to be involved in school life as well, outside of your academics. So I think that like obviously like I did not cure cancer, I did not do like anything like that, nothing extraordinary or spectacular. But I think it could just be like your extracurricular could just be things that you're interested in. You just have to be able to spin it your way. So basically, I will say most colleges will have a lot of research or shadowing opportunities. And I think that is a really good idea for people to go out of your way to seek those kind of opportunities. So in my freshman year, our university had a freshman research immersion program, which is basically a small group of students that participate in like group research, and we basically just conducted an experiment over the course of the whole school year, and then presented it at a conference and worked with like a mentor. So that was one of the extracurriculars I did. So I will also say like don't stress if you the way I was able to get it was that I think I got it upon application of the school. Like I was automatically put into it, but don't stress if you like don't get it right away. You could always go reach out and email people and ask to be put on wait lists. You really have to be proactive and seek opportunities. For instance, I actually had an opportunity kind of like fall into my lap. So I participated in the student congress at my first university, and I think student government, student congress is another really great like extracurricular that you could do, because it's not like, it really makes you stand out because it's a small cohort of people and you do have a lot of responsibility. But the way I got it is that I didn't even know that like that was a thing, because obviously like when you first go to college, like there's a lot of stuff going on, like I had no idea. But then one day, I think in our first month of school, we got an email that the person who is on the financial committee of my building, like of my residential community, they like quit or something, like something happened, and basically they were looking for a new person. And they were like, oh, just like submit your application. And then like I just submitted my application and I asked everyone I knew to like vote for me. I think it was me and like 2 other people. So it was really like, you know, I didn't have to compete with a lot of people. So that was kind of nice. So yeah, I just asked like people I knew to vote for me, and I got voted. And I was one of 11 students that were on the financial committee, and it was actually a really great opportunity. I really enjoyed it. But basically we worked on allocating a budget for every single club at the school, and it was a lot of hard work. Like we had to pull like some weeks, like we had to do like 10-hour weeks during like the busy season. But I think it was really cool to, you know, really get involved in the school. And yeah, that's something I talked about in my essays, and something that kind of, you know, helped me stand out as a student, to be involved in like certain things outside of just academics. So the next thing I want to talk about is recommendations. So I'm pretty sure most colleges require at least 1 or 2 letters of recommendations from professors. I kind of went into college like wanting to transfer. So I kind of set a lot of things in motion before it got too late, because I do remember the transfer applications were due in March. So yeah, like you kind of do have to take a couple months to prepare everything, because especially for something like recommendations, like you can't just like ask the week of, like you need to build a relationship with a professor for them to like write you something. And obviously for extracurriculars, you also need to be like doing that for a while. You can't just like join a club the day before. So I will say definitely it was challenging because the first university I went to was really, really big. So a lot of my classes were huge, like 200 people classes. So obviously like that makes it really difficult to stand out and be close. So my tips are to go to office hours. Office hours is such an underrated and great tool. So I think for me, since I was an environmental science major, I was in a couple environmental science classes, and I really liked one of my professors for my environmental science class, and I thought she was so sweet, like super kind, like so she was kind of my target, if you will. So that class was also a little bit smaller. I think it was like 60 students instead of 200. So, like also a little bit more valuable. So what I did is during class, I always participated. I would always sit in the front and always participate. So she like knew that I was an active student. Obviously, like if you want a good recommendation, you need to be a good student. I think that's like pretty obvious. Like, like if you never talk to the teacher, like what are they gonna say? Like nothing. So like you obviously need to stand out as a student. So definitely like participate in class, like sit in the front, get good grades. And then I also went to office hours like once a month, I think. So I will say something really interesting and helpful is during the first month of school, you should try to go to office hours for like most of your professors and just kind of introduce yourself and ask for an introduction from them, because it sets up like a close relationship with the professor. And it's also, there's a lot to learn from professors beyond just the subject they teach. Like obviously they've been working at the university for a long time, they've been through a lot, they like know a lot academically, they have a lot of training. So I think they are just really good mentors for you to seek help from. So I actually continued, like even after I transferred, I would always go to office hours and introduce myself to professors. But yeah, that's just like a general college advice. So yeah, I remember like, I think something you could say, like if you feel awkward, is that like you can be like, hey, like I'm really interested in getting to know you because I want to gain skills that will be useful to me outside of college, outside of these 4 years of college. And I think your perspective are really unique and I want to hear about your experiences. Just, present yourself as an open sponge, because that is what you are at the end of the day. Like we go to college to learn, we go to college to absorb knowledge, information, and what better way is there to learn than firsthand perspective? And then I remember my environmental science professor also had a lot of like weekend volunteer opportunities. So I also like signed up for those. I was interested, and that also helped me bond with her. So yeah, that was one of my recs. And then my other rec was from my research professor, where I did the freshman year research project that I mentioned before. That was a little easier just because like we worked in small groups, so he kind of already knew who I was. So I didn't really have to go see him like too much outside of class. Like it was just normal like class interactions. So yeah, I don't think either of them wrote me like anything spectacular or anything like that. I don't think you need like, you don't need to be like the favorite student ever to get into a good college transferring. The next point I will touch on is what schools to pick for transferring. So I think this kind of, okay, so if you don't need financial aid, you can probably skip this section because this is more pivoted towards that. So obviously, I come from a low income family, so I definitely needed financial aid for going to a private university since we can't afford to pay $80,000 a year. So one thing that was really important is looking at your school's endowment. So basically your school's endowment kind of represents how much capital they have. And for me, what it worked out was schools that have more than $1 billion in endowment. Because you have to know that when you transfer, a lot of schools are need blind for like freshman year, like first year applicants. So as a transfer student, they are using up a lot of their resources and financial aid packages on new students. And as a transfer student, you're kind of more like second considerations. Like if you think about it, like students, the application closed in January and then they have to decide by like March, April. So, but transfer students who don't get results until May. So schools have already spent up a large portion of their budget admitting like normal first year students. So when it comes to transfer students, they have a lot less money to spread. So for instance, if you need financial aid, if you know your parents have low income, I would steer clear from schools that don't have a big endowment, because you might likely just get rejected because they know that you can't afford to go to the school. Because they know, like, they'll see, because when you apply, they will see like your financial need, and if you know your parents like don't make too much, they're gonna be like, okay, like this person's a good candidate, but you know, like they're probably not gonna be able to afford us, so we're not gonna like waste their spot. So yeah, so I definitely think endowment is a really important thing to look at. I mean, if you take a look at the 2 schools I was admitted to, and given a really generous package, both of those schools had more than $1 billion in endowment, and then the 3 schools that I got rejected from, obviously could be like other reasons I got rejected, but their endowment were a lot less, like maybe like 300 million or something like that, especially for like some of the schools that were similar in size. So I also think that you also should look at different universities' transfer rates. Some schools are more willing to accept transfer students, while some other schools, you know, don't really accept that many. The last thing I will touch on today is the application itself, and more importantly, like the essays that you need to submit. So I will say definitely tip number 1, do not under any circumstance trash or badmouth your current school. Do not do that. Like, I don't care if you hate it, I don't care if you like really dislike it, don't talk negatively upon it, because that does not sound good. It just does not make you sound like a good candidate. So just find ways to kind of like constructively say why you want to transfer without, you know, hating on the school, because that's like unattractive. So for the application itself, I don't think I did anything like too special. I think I just submitted my essays. So I will read I think this is my final draft of the Common App essay, and then I will also read my Why Emory essay. Okay, so this is the final draft of my Common App transfer essay. I have not read this in years actually, so you know, this will be interesting. Elderly women clutching black trash bags, employees adorned with whistles milling around, giant blue bins lining up the entire warehouse, and me, glancing around and wiping my sweaty palms on my jeans. The air is charged with nervous excitement as people are anticipating their hauls. The crowd falls silent as employees stationed throughout whip off the blankets covering the bins. People are standing on tiptoes and trying to peek at the overflowing bins to plan the best strategic movement. Wheat! Following her whistle, everyone rushes towards different bins and maniacally starts to shove clothes into their trash bags as if it's the last stalk of bread before a hurricane. That was my first experience visiting the Goodwill outlet, an intensive start to my thrifting journey. Starting in my sophomore year of high school, I became aware of my carbon footprint. After finding out that fashion is the second most environmentally detrimental industry, I could no longer indulge in the cheap, fast, and stylish clothing stores guilt-free. I scoured the web for sustainable alternatives, but those often came with a high price tag. Luckily, there is a wide variety of thrift stores available in my city. That day at the outlet, I bought a few pounds of clothes for just $11. After seeing the mountain of clothes in that one warehouse alone, I realized that I could try to thrift and then resell the clothes. Through some research, I found an app called Depop that connects buyers and sellers in the vintage market. The app is convenient for people that want to shop sustainably but don't have the time or resources to go thrifting in their local areas. From my Goodwill haul, my first item sold within 2 hours of listing. With that transaction alone, I made back all the money I spent on the rest of the lot. It was exciting to see that I had a feasible plan and could actually be redirecting items from the landfill. I made thrifting trips every couple of months and sold items from my personal wardrobe. Sometimes I would alter clothes to make them more trendy. It's surprisingly easy to increase the value of a shirt just by chopping off a few inches. In addition, I learned that the Goodwill outlets are the last stop for donated clothes before they get shipped off to landfills. It was gratifying to redirect the clothes and make money as well. My Depop shop ignited my excitement for the future. I couldn't wait to broaden my perspective and figure out my career path at Binghamton University. In my first month here, I was elected to be part of the financial committee of the Student Congress. I represent my dorm community of a few hundred students and help to allocate budgets for all on-campus clubs. From this activity and Depop, I realized that I want to work in the sustainability sector in business. Thus, I am pursuing a double major in environmental studies and business administration. However, since my intended majors are in different schools within Binghamton, the classes don't intersect and would be difficult to pursue. In order to gain an in-depth understanding of both topics, I yearn for a more interdisciplinary approach. I want to find the cross-section between sustainable and feasible to address the needs of society and to work with businesses to develop methods for a more sustainable yield. To accomplish this, I wish to be enrolled in a program that encompasses both majors. In addition, I would like to discuss and build meaningful connections with my professors and peers in an intercultural community. By transferring, I hope to broaden my scope and connect my two passions. With a more immersive program, I can dig deeper into the intersection between people, profit, and planet. With a new opportunity, I can learn the ethical implications of sustainable development. So yeah, basically, like I said, I did not badmouth my current school. I just kind of talked about instead like what I was looking for in transferring. And this is my Why Emory essay. The prompt was, given your knowledge of Emory University, describe what unique resources, experiences, or opportunities you hope to take advantage of as a student here. And the limit was 250 to 650 words. Through college, I hope to gain the skills to be an accomplished communicator, critical thinker, and problem solver. Emory not only offers an opportunity for me to gain in-depth knowledge in environmental science and business and participate in engaging activities, but also help me explore my own race and establish a global lens. Academically, Emory's environmental management concentration allows me to combine my interest in environmental policy and business. With a strong focus on interdisciplinary learning, I can develop an integrated understanding of environmental science and business decisions. I look forward to taking environmental thought, ethics, philosophy, and issues, and green business to dig deep into the ethics of green initiatives and understand my role in nature. From taking interdisciplinary classes at Emory, I will make meaningful connections between environmental science and business and be exposed to the skills for a broad range of work environments. On top of that, with Emory's dedication to discovery, I can learn immersively and build my own projects. At my current university, I am conducting research on hemlock woolly adelgids and have learned immensely from using drones and ArcGIS. At Emory, I want to participate in the SIRE program to research sustainable development and build upon the work done by Nia Dubon-Robinson. While she focused on Tibetan household air pollution, I hope to study the effects of living in underdeveloped neighborhoods in New York City on environmental health. Located in Atlanta, Emory not only offers an expansive network of opportunities for academics, but also for community volunteering. Having taken a philanthropy class with the objective of donating $10,000 to a local charity, I learned how satisfying it is to be actively involved in my surroundings outside of school and be able to apply practical skills to analyze operational organizations. At Emory, I want to build a strong student life that doesn't just include being academically challenged. I can't wait to join Volunteer Emory to engage with the community and explore social justice issues. Outside volunteering, I will participate in Outdoor Emory. At Binghamton, I have been a member of Outdoors Club and have gone hiking all over upstate New York. From being on the track team in high school, I realized the importance of exercising the body to fuel the mind and meet people with similar interests. Outdoor Emory is an inclusive opportunity for me to cultivate an accepting community and make the transfer process easier. Lastly, Emory's dedication towards a more diverse campus is important to me as a first-generation immigrant. Since the start of university, I have been more aware of my race due to the difference in setting from my predominantly Asian high school. With the recent outbreak of COVID-19, I am conscious of my race in public spaces and conscious of others' actions towards me. As a result, I've been researching the history of Asian Americans in the US and trying to learn more about assimilation and culture. As a school focused on small size, Emory allows me to participate in conversations with students and professors from all backgrounds. Through challenging opinions, different perspectives, and open-minded discussions, I hope to fully understand the context my race plays in my life. As a prospective student at Emory, I hope to take advantage of all the resources the school has to offer. College is not only a time for me to discover my career interests, but also a growing experience to build the foundations for the rest of my life. I believe Emory is the best opportunity for me as it provides me with all the necessary resources to grow as a passionate, curious, and engaging individual. So yeah, the why essay is more really why you, like why is Lily a good candidate for the school, more so like why is the school a good fit for you. So definitely focus on like how you can immerse yourself into the school and how you can integrate into the school. Okay, that is pretty much all I have today for you on my deep dive into college transferring process. I hope this video was helpful, and please feel free to leave any comments or questions. I will definitely get back to you, and thank you for watching. If you found the video to be helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope you have a great rest of your day, and thanks for deep diving with Lily.